Last month, October 2025, Nigeria hosted the first National Renewable Energy Innovation Forum. The first in Africa, the first in the entire continent that has the highest number of people without electricity. If anybody would ask me to summarize the learning, what I have learned in 2 sentences, my answer will be what I have learned in that gathering that has policymakers, regulators, investors, financiers, and innovators. What I learned was one single thing, that the future does not just exist like that. The future is shaped by people who are bold to dream the future, to idealize the future, and to make it a reality. Now, if that is the case, and we are here to build bridges, which is a component of building the future, my question is, are we ready to idealize the future, envision the future, and make it reality in the most critical sector that affects every single human being in Nigeria? And to answer that question, we should take stock of the existing structure or the existing data in the electricity system in Nigeria and in the world. And I start by giving you some statistics. In the world currently, there are over 685 million people without electricity. And this number drastically reduced from the 957 million people that do not have electricity in 2015. Around 2021 to 2022, that number reduced to 685 million. However, in 2022, while the number of people without electricity access is reducing, in 2022, that number increased by additional 20 million. While from 2025, that number keeps reducing. In 2022, it increased by 20 million. Despite the fact that over $15.4 billion is committed and channeled into addressing electricity challenge in the entire world. And we have also seen that the renewable energy had increased drastically its own share in addressing the electricity access in the world. And I will start by giving you the story of a community called Namu, not far from Bauchi, in a local government called Kwampam in Jos. I was in this community last 2 weeks, and we were there to commission 50 kilowatts of clean, reliable electricity in that community. It may sound as an achievement, but I stand here to tell you that it's nowhere how we should proceed to address the electricity and build the bridge that we needed from where we are to the future. In Namu community, it is a rice-producing community that produces rice all year round. And if you go to this community, you will see a rice processing factories, over 20 of them. Each of these rice-producing factory is using diesel to process the paddy rice that they buy from the farmers to sell it to different communities. However, with the increase in the diesel price, we have seen factories in tens of them that have stopped total production, and many farmers and women who are processing this fadi rice have gone out of business as a result of the lack of the competitiveness of the processing process that they adopted. The use of diesel to process that fadi rice drastically increased their cost of production to the extent that the total cost of production and the market price of the rice is not aligning. If they are to use the diesel to process the rice and take that rice to the market, they will end up losing rather than making gain. This is as a result of the costly means of production. That is one. Secondly, while we were there to commission that, we have also seen trucks of harvested cassavas that were lined and to transport that harvested cassava to Lafia and some parts of Benue. Not a single cassava was processed, or not one single value was added to any of the cassavas that was harvested in that community called Namu in Kwampam. Why? Because there is lack of electricity. This is the story of just Kwampam. Now, we in Rural Electrification Agency mapped the entire country to say that Kwampam is just one of the areas that require this electricity, but there are many of them. We mapped the entire country to determine communities that are without this access. And guess what? In Nigeria, as at today, we have mapped over 150,000 communities that are like Kwampam, that are like Namu community in Kwampam. These communities are either without electricity access or they required more reliability. Having mapped that, we now ask ourselves that what is required to provide electricity to these 150,000 communities? A whopping total of $23 billion is required to address this electricity access gap. 23 billion is required to provide this electricity to 150,000 communities that we mapped. If you also look into the national energy transition plan of the country, you will realize that the country requires $410 billion to achieve electricity transition. All these are opportunities. All these are potential for creating jobs, for industrialization, and many opportunities for the youth. Now, while we are in Nigeria, we are talking about how do we electrify the likes of the Kwampam and the 150,000 communities. Remember, the future has already started to show you that the electricity need of the future is going to skyrocket beyond our imagination. And I painted the image that, for example, one tier 1 data center can consume the total electricity generated in Nigeria. One tier 1 data center can consume the total electricity generated and utilized in Nigeria. While we are speaking of addressing this, the future is indicating how electricity will now be needed and be consumed. It is also envisaged that 10 tier 1 data centers can consume the total electricity generated and utilized by the country called Japan. 10 tier 1 data centers can consume the total electricity generated and consumed. And the change in this electricity need and the use is driven by AI penetration and AI utilization. Many of us here must have used ChatGPT. When you now ask ChatGPT, who is the MD of Rural Electrification Agency, in 10 seconds, ChatGPT can give you the answer. What you don't know is that behind that, the packet of electricity that ChatGPT utilized to generate that 10-second answer, it's beyond your imagination. Electricity, it's what is going to drive AI. And that is why the likes of the US are committing to increase their electricity generation to meet the AI demand. Recently, we have seen the commitment, apart from the investment of 1 trillion, we have seen the commitment of the United States saying that each year they want to build 100 gigawatts of electricity generation to the next 20 years. This is what the future is talking about. So why is the AI requiring this electricity generation? And why should we bother about AI? AI is shaping the way we work, the way we think, the way we communicate, the way we diagnose, the way we even produce our food. And I give you the example of what is happening in Malawi. With a partnership between the Malawi Lwenge Hospital with the Texas Children's Hospital, they were able to inculcate AI into the diagnosis and treatment of maternity health situation in Malawi. And within 3 years, what they have recorded is 82% reduction in stillbirth and maternity death. 82% reduction. If you look at also the case in Kenya, how they are using AI to promote agriculture. We have seen the use of virtual agronomists, the plant village, which are all AI-driven helpers that stimulate agriculture. And we have seen increase in production. For example, in one particular farmer recorded, whose name is Sami Selim, recorded that his coffee yield increased from 2.3 tons to 7.3 tons after using AI-based device, more than tripling the previous harvest that he has recorded. If you look at also Barbados, we have seen how AI has been decentralized, farmers are utilizing AI in their WhatsApp, and it is drastically changing the way they do their agricultural process to the extent that they recorded boost harvest. Simple thing in terms of determining the pesticide or insecticide affecting their crops using AI has helped them drastically. Having said that, I want to also tell you that if, for example, in Bauchi, we intend to say that we want to build one AI data center that can just consume 100 megawatts capacity data center. This data center, by estimate, will consume 8.8 terawatt of electricity in 1 year. If we said we want to also start copying from Kenya to start the using AI to enhance our agriculture, we will require an estimate of 8.76 terawatt of electricity. If we say that we want to also be the AI hub of Africa, what we require will be close to 1 petawatt of electricity. Now, moving from 13,000 megawatts to even 1 gigawatt to 1 petawatt is a tall order, but it is also contingent upon how you see it. Do we see it as a challenge, or do we see it as an opportunity? I'm standing here to tell you that what is there is a huge opportunity. The bridge from 13,000 megawatts of electricity to potentially 1 petawatt of electricity is an enormous opportunity for many of us. Opportunities for skill, opportunities for coding, opportunities for building data centers, opportunities for renewable energy generation, opportunities for localization, and opportunities for creating green jobs. It's also an opportunity for catalyzing small businesses across the country. This journey from the 13,000 to 1 petawatt has already started. Some of us have already started seeing this future and have already started positioning themselves to make sure that they are part of the people that envision the future, idealize the future, and make it reality. Not part of the people that would just find themselves in the future that somebody has taken them to it. It is my conclusion to say that Nigeria possesses huge opportunities in renewable energy, in electricity. AI is already redefining the rate at which we will need electricity. It is very important for us to start to imagine that future and start to position ourselves to take advantage of the enormous opportunities that lies between 13,000 megawatts to the bridge that has 1 petawatt. Thank you very much for this opportunity.